Hello guys, and welcome to my first English tutorial and to my first tutorial about my muscle simulator I've created. Perhaps you've seen my first video, but it was in German, so I decided to remake this in English, and you have to be a little lenient with my English vocabulary because it's not as big as you perhaps think. So let's start. Here we can see my first example I made for you, how this muscle creator works. And first you can see it's very stable. If I will move this and yes, move my bone here, you can see how fine and dandy it looks. If we perhaps move this arm back here and scroll this up, you can see how nice this muscle fits to this bone here. And also if we go to some poses which are impossible like this, you can see that the muscle looks already fine. Yes, and I think this is very good. So first let me show how this looks without this bone here, or this muscle seen. Here you can see, if I will rotate this bone here, how we can get this very nice bulge here. And this is really not only for this arm here. You can bring as many muscles as you want in this scene, and you can create such very cool bulge effects. And not only that, you can also with these muscles make some volume which has been holding. If we perhaps rotate this leg here, you can see that there are very much problems with the hip here in this corner. And yeah, that looks or with this buttocks here, that looks very ugly and unnatural. So with the muscle simulator you can let this look very better. Okay, first let's take a look at the muscle itself. If we would select this muscle here, you can see there are some adjustments. If you press N, let's stop the screencast key so you can see which keys I'm pressing. Here there are some muscle adjustments. For example, for the base length, that's I will hide the character for a moment and select the muscle. The base length, this is the length, or this defines how far the muscle itself, or the muscle bone, goes away from this controller. And if we increase the muscle length, you can see there's a beginning bulging, and if we rotate this, there's a gap between these two objects, but they are still interacting with each other. Okay, let's reset this option. If you want to reset some of these settings to their old number, you can just right mouse click on one of these adjustments and select reset to default, and so the settings will be resetted to their default numbers, or to their default values. The muscle shape is at the beginning 1, and because for the biceps of this character it looks a little too big, so I have increased my muscle shape. And you can see the muscle shapes are just shape keys which I defined in my shape key window. Later I will show you how you can create your own or your custom muscle shapes for your muscle. And for the start, you can see there is just a big muscle and a small muscle, which you can switch between these two values. Where you can switch between these two values. Okay, let's increase this to 0, so that's the default. And here you have two resolution tabs. here you can define how smooth this muscle looks in your either in your 3D window or in your render later, and that's not because you see the render. Because you see this as a smooth render, so it's just because the muscle by default has some of these hard edges, and because this muscle system works with a shrink wrap modifier, you will see these sharp edges later in your render. And because of that, I decided to put the subdivision surface modifier as a driver to where you can adjust your muscles here. Okay, but this is the view resolution you should be have at 0 if your computer is not too fast, because the computer has to handle with more polygons if you increase this number, as you can see here in the 3D window. Okay. Nice. At last we have here the volume adjustment, or the volume setting. Here you can define how big the bulge of this muscle is when the muscle squashes. Let's take a look. If we will rotate this controller in, you can see there is no squash at all. But if we would increase our volume here, you can see that this muscle gets squashed inwards. And why is that the case? Because this volume adjustment works either if the muscle gets stretched, then it puts more, then the muscle stretches more inwards, so the muscle looks thinner. And if the muscle goes inwards, the volume gets bigger. So it works for both sides. So either for squash and for stretch. But if you would increase the base length, then the squash would look very better, as you can see here. Let's switch back to our person. So we go into object mode and Alt-H to review our character here. Let's hide this muscle, biceps, and let's take a look how that looks. And looks very fine, as you can see. You can also make some funny adjustments if you would keyframe the base length, so that you get a very nice muscle movement along your biceps. Let's take a look at this. I don't describe this in my German tutorial, so please forgive me. The idea came me just later. So let's take 2 keyframes for the arm, for example. So that looks very good. Yeah, fine. And now let's keyframe our base length. So let's press I with the mouse hovering the number, and let's go to this point and let's increase our base length. Yeah, okay, for example, let's go back and reshape this. So, okay, fine. And now that looks very good. You can see perhaps the difference because the numbers are too small, but if you increase the volume and redo this again, you can see some better results. Okay, but now let's take a look how you can adjust the muscles and how you can work with the exporter. I've created a normal rig without any muscles or something like this, without any inverse kinematics or yeah, something like this. And I work with dual quaternions, so it's called preserve volume in the armature tab here at your modifiers. So if we rotate this arm, you can see there where actually volume gets lost, there is volume added. That looks better if you look at your arm. If we would rotate this on the x-axis 90 degrees, circa 90 degrees, and you add preserve volume, you can see there gets volume added where volume is actually lost without dual quaternions. So that looks good for my opinion. And so let's reset all our rotations of our bones. And now let's see how we can work with our muscle exporter. So make sure you've downloaded the English version of my muscle exporter, because the German version you probably don't understand. Okay, let's go to File, then go to Append. Append actually means that you can take a group or something like this, a node group or object groups or objects or meshes or something like this from another blend file and append this to our actual Blender file. So let's just click Append and let's search our muscle exporter. Now you can see here is the muscle exporter English. There you have to press on it, and then you get this little menu here where you can select some of these folders. We have to go to our group folder. If we click on this, you can see there's a new group which I've created in my actual muscle exporter file, and if you click on this group, you can click on link append from library. This you can't do this just once. You can do this as many times as you want. And if you go to your groups, then every time you don't rename this muscle group and you add a new muscle group, then there will just get add a 1 at the end of your string here, at your muscle names. So I've decided to rename every time where you have to put your own muscle name. I have decided to just call this muscle, because this would get the better overview. I actually could call this enter your own muscle name here and group after that, but that would be a too long name. Yes, okay. Let's just rename this to, for example, calf, biceps. Yeah, let's call this biceps. Let's call this bone here biceps 2. You don't have to do that, but it's better for better order in Blender, so you can better decide where your objects are and you can better search them. Let's call this muscle here biceps 2. And first let's take a look at this group itself. Let's just select this group. You have to go to groups here at the top to see your groups in Blender. And let's just select our biceps group. Let's press M and move this group to another layer. Let's go to another layer, to the other layer, and let's take a look at this group here. First we have our biceps object here. This biceps object I've created, and it has a diffuse material. You can change the color of this diffuse material here in your settings. I could have made this bring this color back here to our properties, but this would look very diffusing, because if you not in the cycles renderer, this material will not be shown. But perhaps let's go to our Blender render, and if you just remove the cycles material and bring a new material, you will see this material in your Blender render. So let's just switch back to our cycles render, and if you want, you can change the viewport color of this muscle to every color you want. I found blood is or red is a good bloody flashy color, and this signalizes that this is a muscle. Okay, I've actually say what these what every single option here does. So let's take a look at this later, and let's take a look at our bone here. What is this bone for? What is this bone good for? Let's switch to our bone constraints here in the top of our properties window, or properties, yes, to our properties. And here you can see there's a simple stretch to constraint, which is targeted to our control empty here at this side here. And this control empty controls just the stretch here of our bone object. And if you move them in any direction, you can see that this bone gets stretched. And this is the only mystery, or the own secret, which is involved, or which is, yes, involved. I actually think it's called involved by this muscle biceps group here. Okay, let's select this muscle group again and switch back to our character. I would say you have to, or you don't have to, but you can bring this muscle, or I would propose you can switch this muscle group to another layer, perhaps this back layer here at the bottom of your layers. And so you have just one layer for your muscles and one layer for your rig, and so it gets separated by each other, and that looks very better. If you perhaps want to change something at your muscles and you don't want every single time to hide your mesh, then you can just select this group here, and it gets separated by your top layer, or by your layer with your rig. So let's move, don't move this back to our layer, so just let's shift select our top layer. And here you can see, yes, I will just start the screencast key so you can see this a little better. I don't know actually why this is so laggy, or why this is lagging here. Is there anything? No, but at your computer this shouldn't lag. Perhaps is just one of my other programs which I've opened, which are just taking such of my RAM. Okay, so let's take a look. If we, for example, if we select our group and you have your bone selected, then you can not move this group at all. You have to select, shift select your muscle, then you can move this group as you want, where you want to. Let's just bring this group here to a position where it should be. Let's, for example, just remake this biceps, which I made earlier in my example before. Let's bring this group upwards. Let's scale this group a little down to the size of our bone here, or to the size of our arm. So that looks good. Let's just rotate this bone by on the x-axis by 90 degrees. Okay, that looks fine. Let's hide our mesh for a moment and select our controller. Then we will activate snapping here at the bottom and bring our controller here to this bolt. Then let's select our biceps here, or our bone here for the biceps, and bring this to our other ankle. Okay, to our other joint of this bone here. So let's switch back to our object mode, and there we have it. You can see that the group here is here located with its origin, but you can just redo the you can just make this switch back if you go to your tool panel here if you press T in your 3D view and you say origin to geometry, then it switches back to your panel here, and you can see that the bone itself is staying here. But that's no problem because we don't have to move this bone here. We just want to go to pose mode, select our bone here. Let's uncheck the snapping tool here at the bottom, and let's shift select our bone, our our lower arm, and or biped arm, how it's called here. Let's press Ctrl P. Then you can press bone, and there you have it. You have parented. Oh, what's happened here? Okay, perhaps because I parented this bone in the pose mode. So let's go back. Let's select our bone here. Let's shift select our arm here in pose mode, and let's press Ctrl P and bone. Now it should work. Okay, that's very freaky. Okay, let's undo some steps here and do this manually. Let's go to object mode and bring this group here to this mesh here. Let's rotate this as you want and bring this inwards. Okay. Now let's select our bone, then select our bone here from our upper arm. Let's parent this, and it's actually not working. Why? That's not a problem of our muscle system. That's just a problem of myself at this moment, because I don't know what I have made wrong. Okay, first let's parent this controller to our upper arm here. This should work just fine. Okay. What I've made here wrong. Oh, okay. Now it works, as you can see. Let's rotate this, and now you can see it works just fine. And actually, this works just fine too. So you have to parent first your controller here to your object, and then your bone to your object. Then it works. Okay, fine. Now, as you can see, if we would rotate this bone, everything works fine, just fine, and you can see that our bone or our muscle moves with our bone here. Now let's unhide our mesh, and you can see that this muscle looks really too big. And now we have to adjust our muscle so that it looks fine to our skin. Let's make this muscle shape a little smaller and increase the base length, perhaps something like this. And let's increase the volume to something like 50 or so. And the muscle don't have to be under the skin because I will show you how this affects the skin later. You can see this looks very fine. The muscle looks good. Okay, fine. Now let's select. Now we have to define a vertex group to tell Blender which polygons this muscle should affect. Let's hide our group for a moment, and let's switch to our vertex groups. Here you have to create a new vertex group, which you call like the muscle. For my example, it should call biceps. Yeah, biceps is good. If you want to make another biceps, for example, for the opposite side, you have to, or it would be better if you call the biceps biceps underscore L or something like this, and the vertex group 2, because then you can decide better which side you are working with at the moment. So let's just go to weight paint here. Let's let's go here to our biceps, and let's choose a good vertex group for our biceps here. I will increase the weight to 0.5 because this works at the start very good, and let's increase the strength to something like 0.2, and let's draw our vertex group where you want it to be. If you make this vertex group much harder, so the gradient is from blue to red, and if you go further to red, then the biceps will affect this geometry or this polygon which is painted red even more than perhaps a polygon which is completely blue. So let's just let this biceps affect here our arm at this side here, and our shoulder here too. Okay, that looks fine. Perhaps let's smooth this result a little more. Let's go to blur here, and let's smooth this so that it looks, though that it's don't have such a hard gradient here, a contrast. Okay, that's what the word I've searched. Okay, that looks fine. Now we have our biceps vertex group painted. You don't have to paint it. You can also go into your edit mode and select the vertices you want to are fully adjusted by the biceps, and select them and press assign. So it works also. But now now comes the disadvantage of this deformer, and that's the shrink wrap modifier. You have to for every bone or for every muscle you've created, you have to add a shrink wrap modifier, and that's the disadvantage of this. The only disadvantage of this system. But yeah, what do you want to do? You have to select a target for this biceps group. So let's select a target. Now you can see every single polygon of our mesh gets controlled by this shrink modifier. We don't want it. We want to let this vertex group control our biceps influence. So let's select our vertex group here. Now you can see that this muscle is affected, this skin here is affected by our muscle, the skin cluster. If you press in the mode project and press here front, then this result looks much better. Because projected don't snaps the vertices or the polygons to our bone, it's just projecting the polygons to our muscle. And if you here select front in your cull faces option, then some failures are solved, because this direction sometimes can switch to negative, and then this skin gets absorbed by this muscle. So make sure you set this direction to positive and the cull faces to front. Now this looks just fine, as you want this to be. If you are if you find this muscle shape here looks not good, then you can go back to your muscle, to your biceps here, select this biceps, and just increase some adjustments here so that you can see live how this looks when your arm is bulged or when this muscle is stretched. If you want to make this, for example, bigger and make the volume even smaller, then you can do this. Yeah, that looks good too. Fine. Okay, you can not only do this for this biceps here, you can also do this for your knee or for your legs. Let's also see just how we can yeah, and another example is here. Firstly, when we go down and you rotate this arm, you can see it works and it follows just fine. If you go backwards with your arm, there are no problems with your muscle. That looks really good. And if you can see, there are some problems here. That's not because of the muscles, it's just because this weight painting of my armature. You can solve this, but you can solve this with muscles. Let's select our biceps bone and bring this biceps bone more back. Oh, let's just deselect our. Let's bring this biceps bone back here, for example. That's not the common workflow, but it's a method. For example, just for example, you don't have to do this like me now. You can just add a new muscle, but I will show you how this muscle can affect the skin for some positive things. I don't know the word right now. Let's just paint our vertex group here at the bottom a little bit more to our bone or to our muscle, to our skin. And if we paint the vertex group here, you can see that if we update this vertex group in our shrink wrap menu here at the modifiers, you will see that this muscle affects our you can see that looks very good. This is a little extreme because this muscle just goes out like this, and you have to work a little more with this muscle group, but you can see that it's holding volume. This volume here gets solved. Here it looks a little freaky because of the vertex group. I've painted it too fast and it looks very unprofessional, but you can see that it solves here some of these problems with your arm, for example, or with your shoulder. You can add bones on the side here of your neck or at your legs or wherever you want, perhaps on your belly to simulate jiggle in your stomach area, for example. And yeah, but it looks for the start, it looks very good. Okay, I hope you enjoy this muscle simulated system and you are not so confused of my language and you understand some things. But one thing I will show you before I will go away, and this is before I will end the tutorial, and this is the muscle shapes you can create by your own. I've said that these muscle shapes here, which you can adjust here, you can make by your own, and you easily, or you just go to your shape keys options here at the bottom of your object data tab, and there you can just select your shape which you want. The fat shape is the shape which gets simulated if you increase the number to 1, or if you adjust the number here to 1. And this thin shape key is made if you go with your number to -1 or to -1. And the basis is simply 0. No, 0. Okay. If you now select one of these shapes, perhaps the fat shape, and go to the edit mode, and let's select some of these lines and make them even bigger, or something like this, and this. And you increase the muscle shape to 1, then this muscle shape gets transformed into this sharp edge which we have defined in the edit mode. If you adjust the resolution, you can see that this muscle gets his own shape. And if you switch back and hide the muscle, you can see that this will affected by the skin as well. And this looks very, very good, how I think. And not this example here, but if you do this by your own. I hope you will have fun with this muscle exporter, and I hope I've brought you a little far away from your knowledge which you have at the point. Okay, I just leave it. Thank you for visiting, and I hope we will see you. I hope I will see you in my next tutorial. See you then, and thank you for watching.